What's going on, everyone? Betrayal Life here. And today I've got a story that really digs into the big question. Am I the __? Buckle up, because this one gets messy. So here's the situation. I'm a 32-year-old guy, been with my wife Andy, who's 34, for about 3 years. We've only been married a little over a year, and for the most part things between us were great. The real trouble wasn't with her. It was with her daughter, Carrie, who's now 16. Carrie is from Andy's previous marriage. Her dad tragically passed away in a car accident about 5 years back. Andy and I didn't rush things at the start. She didn't even introduce me to Carrie until she knew we were solid. When we finally met, Carrie was cold, standoffish, and honestly pretty rude. I didn't take it personally, though. I understood she'd been through a lot. I tried to connect with her little by little, never pushing or trying to play dad. I told her to just call me by my first name, and made it clear I wasn't trying to replace her father. My only goal was for us to get along. Over time, things got a bit better, but Carrie still had her moments. She'd throw in nasty comments or give me attitude, and although it bothered me, I kept my mouth shut because Andy always told me, just give her space, she'll come around. But everything got much worse once we were married and they moved into my place. Carrie clearly didn't want to live there, but since she was still underage, Andy told her it wasn't up for debate. From the day they moved in, the chaos began. Carrie would deliberately trash the kitchen, smash glasses and plates, and even leave broken shards scattered across the floor. Sometimes she'd throw things out the window or scream insults at our neighbors. This wasn't once in a while either. It happened at least a couple times a week. I'll admit I don't have the calmest temper, so yes, I yelled at her a few times and made her clean up her messes. But I never touched her, never punished her physically. Andy would scold her too, but it never seemed to make a difference. Then came the breaking point. Just last week, Andy and I came home from dinner to find the garage door wide open. And there was Carrie standing next to my car, a BMW X5, and she was absolutely destroying it. 2 tires slashed, deep key marks all over the body, and she'd even cracked the glass. That's when I lost it. I called her a nasty name, and told her to get out of my house. Andy jumped to defend her, saying Carrie was just acting out, and I shouldn't speak to her that way. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told Andy flat out that if she was fine with Carrie wrecking my property, then she could leave too. We screamed at each other for 15 minutes. I said Carrie needed to pay for the damage or I'd sue her. I even told Andy I had the whole thing recorded on my garage camera. Andy shot back that I was cruel and heartless. That was the final straw for me. I told both of them to pack up and leave. It was close to midnight, but they did. Afterward, I realized I probably could have handled things with less rage, but honestly, this blow-up was a long time coming. I'd had enough of the constant destruction and toxicity. I decided I wanted a divorce and contacted a lawyer to sue Carrie for the damages. When I told my mom what happened, she said I was being too harsh and maybe I was the bad guy. That shook me up a little. A couple of weeks later, Andy and I met to talk things through. She wanted to patch things up, give our marriage another shot. But I told her no, I couldn't go through that again. As much as I love her, my sanity and peace have to come first. This past year has been hell, and I can't put myself back in that situation. Andy was heartbroken, but she understood. She even agreed it might be better for Carrie too. I urged her to get Carrie professional help, and apparently she's already started therapy. The divorce itself was quick and uncomplicated. We had a prenup, kept our finances separate, and had only been married a year. We signed the papers without much drama. There are still some minor details to work out, but it's basically done. As for the car, the repair estimate came back at about €6,000. To put that in perspective, that's 6 months of the average salary where I live. My lawyer and I are moving forward with holding Carrie accountable. My insurance company has also gotten involved. So that's where I stand now. It's been painful, but at least I'm out of a situation that was eating me alive. My insurance company made it clear that they wouldn't cover vandalism or anything close to this kind of damage. When I met with my lawyer, he strongly advised me to go to the police and press charges against Carrie. At first, I was unsure about involving the police, but my lawyer explained that if things got messy later, it would protect my position legally. Taking his advice, I went ahead and filed a report. A few days later, I sat down with Andy to discuss everything face to face. Both of us brought our lawyers along to keep the conversation on track and to deal with the legal issues properly. I explained that the cost of the damage wasn't something my insurance would cover, and that I expected her to be responsible for it. Andy told me she simply didn't have that kind of money, since she and Carrie had moved in with her parents, and she was already struggling to find a new place to live. She said every bit of her income was tied up in trying to get back on her feet. I suggested a compromise. I would cover the cost of repairs up front, and once she was financially stable, she could pay me back. She agreed to that arrangement. However, because I had reported Carrie to the police, she would now have a criminal record, which is unfortunate since it might cause her problems later in life. Still, she had made her own decisions, and this was the consequence of her actions. According to my lawyer, within a couple of weeks Carrie would likely have to appear in court. He believed the outcome would probably involve court-ordered psychiatric treatment and some hours of community service. The last few weeks have been exhausting, but thankfully my friends have been incredible, supporting me through everything. I'm just relieved it's coming to an end. I also appreciate all the feedback and kind words I received. They meant a lot. And honestly, I don't feel guilty about pressing charges. Some people told me I did the right thing, and I agree. If Carrie isn't held accountable for destructive behavior now, she'll only carry these habits into adulthood, where the consequences will be even worse. Yes, she may have been hurt and upset, but that doesn't give her the right to take it out by destroying someone else's property. Damaging a car and leaving someone with €6,000 worth of repairs isn't excusable. Now moving on to another story. A man in his late 20s had recently proposed to his girlfriend, Jasmine, who is 24. They started discussing wedding plans. She had already chosen her bridesmaids and wanted to talk through his groomsmen, figuring out who would be paired up to walk down the aisle together. When the subject came up, he told her that his best man was going to be his best friend, Kate, a 27-year-old woman. Jasmine didn't take it well. She immediately pushed back, saying she didn't want Kate to be the best man. He asked her why, and she rattled off several reasons. She claimed it would look strange in the pictures, that it would feel awkward for Kate to walk with her maid of honor, that Kate would distract the guests, and even that she was too short to stand next to a lineup of tall groomsmen. To him, all her arguments sounded weak, and he told her so. She insisted he respect her wishes since it was their wedding, and she even suggested he pick someone else to stand by his side. Deep down, he suspected jealousy was the real reason, but he didn't want to just give in to her insecurity. Their disagreement grew heated. Jasmine accused him of having ulterior motives for including Kate, while he became frustrated with her irrational behavior. Eventually, he snapped and told her that if she couldn't allow him this one important decision, then maybe they shouldn't get married at all. That set her off, and she told him to leave. Since then, he's been crashing on friends' couches, though not Kate's. When he tried to talk to Jasmine again, she asked if he was ready to apologize. He refused, telling her he wouldn't back down, and let her believe she had the right to forbid him from including Kate in the wedding party. For anyone wondering, no, he and Kate have never been romantically involved. They've been close friends for years. In fact, she played a huge role in helping him come out of his shell socially. Back in grad school, when he was still a socially awkward guy, she helped him meet new people and build the friend circle he has now. She's been there for him through highs and lows, and it felt unthinkable to not have her standing by his side on such a significant day. Jasmine and Kate know each other, but were never close friends. Over time, Jasmine seemed to accept his friendship with Kate without suspicion or jealousy, or so he believed. That's why her sudden reaction to the wedding role took him completely by surprise. He added later that Jasmine isn't usually controlling or dramatic. This behavior was out of character for her. When she told him maybe he should just leave, he decided to call her bluff and walked out. She's since asked him to return and apologize, but he's holding firm. Both of us are stubborn about what we want, and neither likes to back down. I didn't actually want to call off the wedding, but I said it out of frustration because I needed Jazz to understand how serious I felt. She got upset, which I understood, But we eventually made up a few days later. We talked about compromises, and even though it was still a sensitive topic, I thought we were starting to recover. But that didn't last. A little over 2 weeks after our fight, she was no longer my fiancée. Out of nowhere, one of Jazz's friends reached out to me. She said Jazz had been venting about me and Kate to their group, and she couldn't keep quiet anymore because she didn't think it was fair that I didn't know the full story. She sent me screenshots of conversations where Jazz was not only trash-talking Kate, but also making it clear she didn't trust me around her. If that was all, I would have just been angry and maybe hurt, but the messages went further. Things turned confusing, and I didn't have full context at first, but her friend explained the parts one didn't understand. Basically, Jazz had cheated on me before we even got engaged. She apparently slept with some guy once, someone she doesn't even talk to anymore. Whether it was really just one time, I'll never know. But what broke me was realizing that all of her friends knew and kept it from me. The entire time I had been played. When I confronted Jazz, she denied it, but I told her it didn't matter. I wanted her gone. She refused to leave and threw a tantrum, so I ended up walking out of my own place just to get away from her. I warned her that if she wasn't gone by the time I came back, I'd tell everyone what she had done. That finally worked. 2 days later, when I returned, she was gone. She's been trying to reach out, wanting to patch things up, but I want nothing to do with her. She can keep the ring for all I care. I just don't want her in my life. I felt humiliated, stupid, and worthless, so I didn't even tell anyone why we broke up. I have no idea what version of the story she's been telling people, and honestly, I don't care anymore. The last month and a half has been awful, but I'm slowly starting to rebuild my pride. Some days I manage to believe it's her fault, not mine. Other days it's harder. And since I know some people will ask, no, I didn't go running to Kate after all this. I've barely spoken to her or anyone else. I've been focusing on myself, enjoying the quiet, and finding some peace in being alone during quarantine. Now onto a different story. I'm a 37-year-old father with 3 daughters, ages 8, 10, and 12. Their mother walked out years ago when our youngest was about 4, leaving us for another man. She still pays child support and stays in contact, but she's never really been there for them. A few weeks ago, while doing laundry, I noticed red stains on my oldest daughter's underwear. I asked her about it, and she broke down crying. She told me she had tried calling her mom but couldn't get through, so she had been stuffing toilet paper in her underwear, hoping it would be enough. My heart broke. I sat her down and explained that getting a period is nothing to be ashamed of. I started looking up resources online, and we learned about it together. I took her shopping so she could choose what products she wanted to use. She picked Playtex Sport since she's a gymnast. After that, I decided it would be best to prepare my other 2 daughters as well, so we turned it into a family night. My 12-year-old helped lead the way, and together we learned, laughed, and made it into something positive. I even discovered what a menstrual cup is, and how it can be better for the environment. Later, when their mom finally called back, I arranged a video chat like usual and gave the girls their privacy. But after they finished talking, I stayed on to discuss school bills and other co-parenting matters. That's when my ex exploded at me. She was furious that I had spoken to the girls about periods. She accused me of being disgusting and perverted, demanding to know why I hadn't called her instead. She said I should have gone to their grandmothers or aunts. But my own mom has dementia, and her mom and sisters constantly belittle me because I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I don't exactly rely on them. She insisted I should have toughed it out and left things for her to handle. That was the breaking point for me. I snapped back that maybe if she answered her damn phone once in a while, she could have been the one to guide them through it. I told her flat out that she's been a deadbeat mother, reminded her of all the things she's missed, the soccer games, the piano recitals, every milestone she's ignored. Every other weekend, when my daughters come home from their mother's house, they head straight into their rooms. Hours later, they emerge, asking heartbreaking questions like why their mom seems to love her new husband more than them, or what they did to make her leave. I try to comfort them, but nothing really prepares you for those kinds of questions. When I confronted my ex about it, she told me I should just tell the girls that I couldn't satisfy her. Hearing that come out of her mouth made me snap. I shouted at her. I almost never raise my voice, but in that moment I lost control. And then she smirked, pointed behind me, and said, "Look what you did." I turned around to find my 8-year-old and 10-year-old standing in the doorway, crying. The guilt hit me instantly. I had scared them, and that broke my heart. My 12-year-old came rushing in, furious, screaming at her mom in my defense. As much as I appreciated her standing up for me, I hated that she was put in that position. This wasn't her fight to take on. My ex hung up before I could calm things down, leaving me to try and fix the damage. I spent the rest of that night spoiling the girls. Ice cream without limits, hours of video games, even sitting through every Twilight movie with them. If that's not love, I don't know what is. But I kept asking myself afterward, was I wrong for shouting? Then came last weekend. After dropping them back off, my 12-year-old pulled me aside privately. In her room, she showed me 2 recordings she had made on her phone. One was of her mom trying to convince the girls that I was abusive. The other was of her mom and her husband fighting about how much child support she was paying. Watching those clips gutted me. I knew things were bad, but seeing it from my daughter's perspective made it even worse. I sent the recordings to my cousin, who happens to be a family court lawyer. He tore into the situation and assured me this would not end well for my ex legally. I had solid ground now. But emotionally, I was still wrecked from the affair, still carrying that hurt. On top of everything, my daughter told me she didn't want to go to her mom's anymore. But she also felt like she had to, because she was the oldest and it was her job to protect her younger sisters. That nearly broke me. I've always encouraged her to be a good big sister, but I never wanted her to bear that kind of weight. She's also starting to piece things together about the affair. Over the past couple weeks, she's asked me endless questions about when it all happened, trying to connect the dots. Finally, one night, after showing me the recordings, she looked me dead in the eye and demanded I answer her. Yes or no? Did her mom cheat on me? I didn't want to put that burden on her, but I also knew lying wasn't fair. So I told her the truth. I made her promise not to tell her sisters, because that's my responsibility, not hers. She cried into my shoulder harder than I've ever seen. That moment shattered me, but I also knew if she was going to find out, it needed to be in a safe space with me right there. Afterward, I asked her to email me the recordings, then called my cousin to start the paperwork. He's confident we can pursue parental alienation, and because of her recent promotion, renegotiate child support as well. More importantly, the evidence should be strong enough to push for supervised visits. That's all I want. I don't want to erase their mother from their lives. The younger 2 still want to see her, but I want to make sure I'm always present to protect them. Co-parenting has been nothing short of a nightmare, but I'm doing everything I can to put my daughters first. Even with everything she's done, I still want them to have some form of relationship with their mom. At the end of the day, they deserve that. And I have to say, I'm grateful for all the supportive messages people have sent me. I don't always see them right away. Technology isn't my strong suit, and my old Reddit app hides half the messages. But when I do, it means the world. My day job is working with 5-year-olds, and while it's not glamorous, it's something I love and wouldn't trade for anything. Through all of this, one thing I know for sure is that my girls are everything to me. They're hurting, they're confused, and yet they're so strong. If I can be the steady ground beneath their feet while their world feels shaky, then I know I'm doing something right.